Quick disclaimer, everything in this video and all of my videos are my opinion based on detailed research that I perform. That said, I would recommend doing your own research before you make up your mind. Thank you. On Friday night, I watched the Amber Heard interview with Savannah Guthrie, and I couldn't help but wonder, what is this all about? Amber has already lost the trial and is frankly putting herself at risk for another lawsuit. She's already lost in the court of public opinion with no hope for recovery. So what is she doing? Well, according to Amber, this is about the truth. Leading up to the release of the interview, one of the enticing so-called new evidence NBC was dangling in front of the public was information that was used during the UK trial, but left out of the US trial. Turns out it comprised of years and years of notes taken by Amber's therapist that documented Amber talking about abuse. But if you've watched even 10 minutes of the US trial, you know that that falls under hearsay. What you told your therapist cannot be administered into court evidence. But if this was about the truth, this would be the time for us to see the photo. During the trial, while Amber was getting cross-examined by her worst nightmare, Camille Vasquez, Amber said that she supposedly had a photo of her broken nose before she hid it with makeup. Let's take a look at that moment.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Miss Heard?
I'm wearing makeup.
Your nose doesn't appear to be injured in any of these pictures, does it, Miss Heard?
That's why I'm wearing makeup.
Right. And makeup covers up swelling, right?
Makeup will not cover up swelling. Ice will, though.
Ice will cover up swelling?
Ice reduces swelling. Normally, the swelling after that kind of injury is not as bad as you might imagine. And for me, it wasn't that bad. I have a picture of it underneath the makeup. That's how I know how to reference it.
A picture you haven't produced or shown to this jury, right, Miss Heard?
I produced everything.
But you haven't shown it to this jury.
I would very much like to. It's not my job.
So this would have been the perfect time to produce that picture. It certainly would have done wonders for NBC's ratings, and it certainly would have made me question what the truth was. But no photo. Only the same old excuses that we heard during her cross-examination. So again, why do this interview if it isn't going to change public opinion, but rather place her at risk for additional lawsuits? There is a philosophy that a narcissist unknowingly lives by, and that is, love me or hate me, but don't you dare forget about me. I believe that from Amber's perspective, this statement applies to Johnny Depp just as much as it applies to the public. Because remember when Amber said this during the trial?
I just want Johnny to leave me alone. I just want him to leave me alone. I've said that for years now.
Johnny is doing that. He's moving on. In fact, he's finally starting to live his life in a way that he hasn't been able to for a long time. And let's rewind back to 2018 when Amber had already secured her divorce from Johnny, which included a post-tax payment of $7 million, which she had triumphantly declared she had given away to charity.
I wanted nothing.
People mostly believed she was a victim of abuse and her film career was heating up. But that's when she wrote the op-ed. Savannah Guthrie asked her why she wanted to stir things back up again.
Why did you do that if you wanted to just go on and put this past you?
Because the op-ed wasn't about my relationship with Johnny.
Did you worry? Gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on these cultural issues, but that's gonna stir this all up again.
You know, that's a great question, and one that I wish was considered more seriously because it's important.
If she truly wanted to be left alone, she would certainly not poke the bear, her supposed abuser, in such a public way. But this is a good time to talk about narcissists and boundaries, or their lack of boundaries, I should say. In relationships, narcissists neither see nor respect boundaries of their partners. In fact, they find boundaries to be very selfish and inconsiderate. A good example of this is Johnny's desire for space when things got too rough. Johnny would lock himself in bedrooms, bathrooms, wherever, but Amber would come down on him like thunder, banging on doors. To her, his desire for space is a boundary that she's not willing to accept because it forces her to delay her needs. And to a narcissist, their needs always always come first. And narcissists are attracted to people who struggle to maintain boundaries. Amber knows that she can push boundaries with Johnny because he doesn't like conflict and is likely to give in to get to a peaceful place. And because the public was more likely to believe her as a woman over him as a man. Hence, she wrote the op-ed, continuing to push Johnny's boundaries because she wanted to bolster her position as an activist and as an actor. But she miscalculated because after years of suffering abuse at her hands, Johnny was ready to stand up for himself. But now, 4 years later, despite losing, she's pushing again. The common sentiment among the public is, Amber, we don't like you, you lost, just go away. But a narcissist is not going to accept people forgetting about them. And it has been confirmed that Amber has a full plan to restore her public image, this interview being the first step.
Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. You cannot tell me that you think that this has been fair.
Let's talk about this line because it's one of those sneaky, manipulative statements. So, even if we think you're lying, we should not think you deserve the way you've been represented. Okay, if we think you're lying, let's complete that statement. Because if you're lying, which a lot of people believe you are, that means you lied about a man who you were actively abusing. But you lied and said that he was hitting you and intensely abusing you so that you could get a better divorce settlement and you could raise your profile in the public and make more money. And let's talk about how Amber has been represented online. During the segment, NBC showed several TikToks of people reenacting her testimony, especially the very theatrical parts. Aside from that, there have been a lot of people analyzing everything and calling Amber out on her inconsistencies. Everything that falls under reasonable expression of our First Amendment rights.
We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks, but my understanding of what that means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
That's right, Amber. So no, you weren't represented unfairly. Actually, this is exactly how we would all expect a liar to be treated when they are unmasked for their blatant attempts to destroy another person by garnering public sympathy. But what Amber was attempting to do, unsuccessfully, was to get us to question our sense of fairness.
I don't care what one thinks about me or what judgments you want to make about what happened in the privacy of my own home and my marriage behind closed doors. I don't presume the average person should know those things, and so I don't take it personally.
This is again very sneaky because it knocks that so-called average person down a peg with her saying that we don't have all the facts. She's basically implying that we've all been duped and taken in by a manipulative pack of lawyers. And she doesn't even blame us for that. How could we all not come to that conclusion? This is such a staple in the narcissist arsenal, where they claim to take the high road and they're not angry, but instead they completely understand why we don't like them. And they take a very paternal, but really patronizing tone because they're really looking down on us, the average person, and feeling sorry for our ability to be fooled and not see the truth. Isn't this incredible to see all this playing out in front of us? Because normally in a relationship with a narcissist, this all happens behind closed doors. One of the biggest hallmarks of suffering from narcissistic abuse is being convinced that the narcissist owns you. Ownership and control are a big part of their desire from a relationship. And while we're under the narcissist spell, we play into that. We accept that. You tell the narcissist that you are grateful for them and how you could never live without them because they've saved you, so to speak. We've heard similar things said by Prince Harry about Meghan Markle. We've heard recordings and seen texts during the defamation trial where Johnny Depp said that to Amber, even when he didn't believe it. After a while in your relationship with a narcissist, you resort so heavily on appeasing them just to keep them on the pleasant side of their emotions, rather than suffering their wrath. When you eventually hit your limit and draw a line in the sand and leave a narcissist, they're not going to let you go unscathed. And they're certainly not going to let you forget about them easily. Being her victim of abuse, it's Johnny Depp who truly wanted to be left alone and move on with his life. But Amber won't let him, claiming that she's going to stand by this until her dying day. But the most irksome part of this interview is when Amber is asked if she still loves Johnny Depp.
On the first day of the trial, you issued a statement, and part of the statement said, "I still have love for Johnny."
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
After everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love him. I loved him with all my heart. And I tried the best I could to make a deeply broken relationship work. And I couldn't. I have no bad feelings or ill will towards him at all. I know that might be hard to understand, or it might be really easy to understand. If you've just ever loved anyone, it should be easy.
This is yet another instance of Amber Heard explaining to the average person that they clearly don't understand what love is if they can't understand her willingness to love Johnny Depp still. But it makes no sense to love someone who turned out to be nothing like you expected. It happens all the time. People fall into love, and then they fall out, and then they move on and leave each other alone. But the reason a narcissist claims to love someone forever is to establish themselves not as your equal, but as your superior, as your God, as your benevolent creator. Why would they not love you, even when you continue to mistreat them? This is yet another way for a narcissist to establish themselves as wise and sage, but also their very effective way to continue to control you and establish that you will always belong to them. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.